Bad Bunny is such a great example because we've supported Bonito from literally day one. He was an Up Next artist. The team had traveled to Puerto Rico many times to see him. And from very early on in artist relations, we have people who said, "Oh my God, this person one day is going to be huge." I think if there was like a soundtrack of the last 20 years of music at Apple between iTunes and Apple Music, Mumford and Sons would 100% be on that soundtrack. It feels like that band would have never actually been as big as they are without digital distribution and at the time iTunes, because they came out with a brand new songs like Americana, made out of London, if you know what I mean. And so in a physical world, the distribution would have been very challenged, but in a digital world, and now it's working so closely with them and supporting them from day one, they become such a huge hit. And that's one of the reasons why I go to so many music festivals, because you get to see so many bands that you've never heard of. And I'm lucky enough that I have editorial teams around the world that say, "Oh, you should meet this artist and this artist and this artist." And so that's fun.
Completely honored to have you, Oliver. You are absolutely an Apple legend, and Ali, hyped us up a lot. But we're former Apple employees, and
I
we're
heard.
Yeah,
You told me. That's so cool.
Yeah, we were
geniuses, correct?
Yeah, we were there. We were kind of all in the three of us. We have another host who's not with us today, but yeah, we were all there for 10 plus years, and we were just saying it's like some of the best years of our life was at Apple, and it led us to starting this show, which is just lets us work with Apple in another way, which is amazing.
Congratulations. I'm telling you, wherever I go, last weekend I was in Austin at the F1 race. I'm sure you saw our big announcement there, which came from my team. And then I was in Nashville, and I got back just this morning. I was in Nashville all week, and I always go to the Apple retail store and meet with the teams and do a daily download. They're the best of the best. They're the face of the company, and they're the ones who interact with the customers, and I think they do an amazing job. And I'm so grateful that I get to do that when I go and travel and meet people.
And just also really quickly, just in case you're wondering, I'm Daniel. This is Shahbaz.
My name's Shahbaz. Yes.
Shahbaz, Daniel, good to meet you. Thank you.
Great to meet you too.
We got to start off by asking, we had a really fun time, obviously, in Montreal, like Ali was mentioning, where we got to play around with some of the new features of Apple Music. And one of the features that I think just took everyone by storm was Apple Music Sing. So for yourself, really, how many Apple Music Sing parties are you hosting right now?
Oh, I mean, it is, it's so great. I have 4 kids. And so you turn on the TV, you take a remote. It's always such a good laugh. We launched Lyrics, I think about 6 years ago, and it's been such a great journey because at the time, no one really had Lyrics. And to be honest, Lyrics weren't really available. The labels don't have them. And so I built a team that actually started to curate them on their own. Like literally, we had people with Beats headphones on a Thursday night when music got released, listen to the music and write down the lyrics, because we didn't want them to be crowdsourced from the internet, because in many cases they're not. We want everything to be high quality in Apple Music, and they weren't. And obviously, technology over time has helped a ton. And we have, I'm sure you heard that, we have more than 60% of our subscribers use Lyrics every month. And what I like about it, it just creates that connection between the customer and the music. When we launched Apple Music, we were worried that streaming basically creates music in the cloud and loses the connection between the fan and the artist. And so this is a great way for people to lean forward, look at the lyrics, and then it's been a journey. First, we had flat lyrics, as you I think you saw maybe on a slide. Then we had sort of time sync lyrics, and then beat by beat, and then we added sing, and now sing on TV and lyrics pronunciation. It's been a great journey and super fun, and we'll continue to think about innovative ideas how to bring lyrics to the forefront and alive. So we are, I think there's almost every weekend there's sort of a session going on in my life.
That's awesome. That makes sense. And it's incredible to see the evolution of Apple Music. And we were there at the launch of it 10 years ago, and that was like such an incredible thing, because for us, music has always been synonymous with Apple. And to see when you joined the company in 2004, to see where iTunes was, and then 10 years later here's Apple Music, and now 10 years after that you guys are headlining and bringing the Super Bowl to the world. When you look at the legacy of Apple Music, what are you most proud of in the time that you've been at Apple?
It's a few things. And I'm gonna stay on the macro, and then I'll give you a couple of fun bits and pieces. I do love that we stand for quality, that we stand for people who love music and who have a deep connection. We say music is in our DNA, and we really have a deep connection to music. And I do love the fact that we do everything we do from the viewpoint of artists. We're totally artist-centric and artist-first. When we have a new feature, when we have a new business proposition, anything, we think about, oh, what would the artist say? And I'm actually really proud of that. And this is independent of Apple Music, iTunes, or other things we do in music at Apple. We're very artist-centric, very focused about the music. We're in the music business for one reason, and that's the music. We're not in the music business because it's a great business and we get a ton of money. So that's actually, none of that is true. We are in the music business, we love music. And as I said, there's a ton of music services, and not just subscription service, but radio service and everything. And I think we have positioned ourselves as the quality leader when it comes to sound or execution or curation, all those things. And I think those are the three things that I'm proud of. If you ask me about individual moments, oh my God, there's so many. Like the iTunes Festival, for example, we ran for 10 years in London at the Roundhouse, is obviously a highlight. The Super Bowl you mentioned is sort of an incredible highlight, but also just product launches, moments in the Apple Music radio studios. We did an album release party with Doja Cat in the new LA studio a couple of weeks ago, and you stand there, and I'm just so proud of the work that the team does. And I'm a huge traveler, so I get to go to lots of countries. I have a team all around the world, and even when I go to, like, I don't know, Italy or Vietnam, and I meet with artists, and I understand how our brand and our service and our position is the same everywhere in the world. That makes me really proud.
And I think that's as people who used to work there, like, I think that is consistent with everything that you see Apple do across like services and products and everything. Is that anytime we travel, we'll visit an Apple store, and it's cool to see that you feel that DNA in all the stores too. I remember
the Spatial audio launch as one of the product launches that I remember the most, because as you know, from mono to stereo, there was, like, I don't know, there was nothing for decades, and then this was a project that only Apple could do, because you really needed the hardware, the software, and the services to work together. We needed the Apple Music engineers to work with the iOS engineers, to work with the hardware engineers, in particular for AirPods, but also Beats, to come up with a completely new standard. And our mission was really two things. It needed to work on as many devices as possible. Forget about Apple. Obviously, it needed to work on all Apple devices, but no, the beautiful thing about Spatial Audio is it worked on pretty much every headphone in the world, and almost every device in the world. And our second condition was it needed to be so that people hear the difference, because there's been other standards before, like lossless is a good example. Not that it's a standard, but you listen to lossless music and you're like, I don't really 100% on an iPhone hear the difference. You need, because for lossless, you hear the difference when you have the right setup. Then the difference is amazing. But for the longest time, there were people listening to lossless music on an iPhone with AirPods, and they didn't even understand that the AirPods didn't work with lossless. And so like, oh, this sounds amazing, when they weren't even listening to lossless. So when you listen to Spatial Audio, you immediately hear the difference. And we got lucky enough that the vast majority of people love the difference and think it's better. So that was and so I remember when we launched it, that was a cool moment as well. So anyway, lots of good moments. Thanks for asking.
Definitely. And we love that you touched upon the fact that, when you look at how much traveling you're doing and seeing all the different places you're going to, you're getting to also, I'm assuming, interact with a lot of these artists from around the world. So when you're looking at artists from around the world, what are you thinking about when you're trying to curate them into the Apple Music library? Because like Bad Bunny, for example, at the Super Bowl, like that's huge.
Yeah, I think we're, at the end of the day, we're a global business, and we do many things all around the world the same way. And I'm proud. I mean, Bad Bunny is such a great example, because we've supported Bonito from literally day one. He was an Up Next artist. The team had traveled to Puerto Rico many times to see him. And from very early on in artist relations, we have people who said, oh my God, this person one day is going to be huge. I feel the same. The other day, we had a session with Mumford & Sons, and I think if there was like a soundtrack of the last 20 years of music at Apple, between iTunes and Apple Music, Mumford & Sons would 100% be on that soundtrack. I feel like they were, because they've been around since 2008, so in the earlier iTunes days. And if you remember The Cave, which was their first big hit, uh, it feels like that band would have never actually been as big as they are without digital distribution and at the time iTunes, because they came out with a brand new songs like Americana, made out of London, if you know what I mean. And so in a physical world, the distribution would have been very challenged, but in a digital world, and I was working so closely with them and supporting them from day one, they become such a huge hit. And so I mean, but we try to do that. I mean, what I do love is mostly actually meeting with like artists that are going to be stars tomorrow. And that's one of the reasons why I go to so many music festivals, because you get to see so many bands that you've never heard of. And I'm lucky enough that I have editorial teams around the world that say, "Oh, you should meet this artist and this artist and this artist," and so that's fun.
And I think that's where the the Apple Music lyrics translation really comes into play as well, because there's so many K-pop songs that are just blowing up now, and even Bad Bunny songs that I'm listening to, and I'm like, oh, I've been saying that wrong this whole time. So
that's right.
Really
yeah, that's correct. We were very proud of the feature, and we're going to obviously be adding more languages and make that available everywhere in the world across as many languages as possible. So we're super excited. And you think about, actually, I mean, I'm German, I'm from Munich, and so I grew up speaking German and I learned English at school. So it's totally normal for so many people around the world to be exposed to music and big hits. Think about Despacito, for example. Did you really know what they were singing about at Despacito? Probably not. I mean, I don't know whether you speak Spanish. I don't. But it was the biggest hit on the planet for like an entire year. And so it's just really cool to be able to then finally be like, oh, great. Same with, by the way, with like classical music. And if you look at some Andrea Bocelli, it's all in Italian. And you get a sense that it's about love or this and that, but just being able to understand and reading the lyrics is very cool.
Definitely. And, Havel, again, when you look at the year that you have had, for us being the movie podcast, we cannot talk about 2025 movies without F1 and seeing the absolute just juggernaut that was. We were in New York City when the premiere was happening. We were there for another project, but we were just we saw that the pictures with you, and it was just like it's amazing to see the success of that film, and now the partnership with F1 that you guys announced. So I guess what took you by surprise with the success of that film, and obviously all that lined up to lead into this F1 deal as well. So I just was wondering if you were able to say anything about what that deal's gonna look like, or just the F1 film itself, what you were, most surprised with the success of it.
Well, let's start with Apple TV, which we launched 6 years ago, all around the world in more than 100 countries. And it has a lot in common with Apple Music. It's all focused on quality. We're making our own content. We do the same with Apple Music in our own studios, but obviously we have a rich catalog of music. But in Apple TV, we basically, the starting point was there's a lot of great subscription services out there, but none of them focus purely on quality content. They have huge libraries and everything. So we went on this incredible experience to say we're gonna start our own library, and we started with 9 shows, and now we have many hundreds. And so we experimented with series and with films, and some of the films like The Killers of the Flower Moon with Leonardo DiCaprio went into theaters. And one of the films we early on started working on was this F1 movie, because we believed in that team, but also we thought as a technology company, we can actually help to make it better. And so there's a lot of iPhone innovation and iPhone camera innovation in that film, which I'm sure you've seen. But leaving the film and Apple TV aside, and it's been, as you know, it's been a huge success. The film is the biggest sports movie of all time. It's Brad Pitt's biggest movie of all time. And we're super happy. Leaving that aside, I think if you look at the soundtrack, it shows you how when we do things at Apple, and we don't do many things, we try to do them end to end at the highest quality. It's an amazing soundtrack that got so much wonderful reviews from, I don't know, Don Toliver to Dom Dollar. The Tate McRae song is amazing. Burna Boy, I could go on and on. Ed Sheeran. And I got to see the film quite a few times without music in earlier rough cuts. And then you see it with the music and be like, oh, wow, this is a total smash. And we were able to do fun things at the premiere. We had Dom Dollar DJ to the soundtrack on Times Square. and we had Ed Sheeran at the London premiere and Tate McRae, and so we're really super proud of the work that between Apple TV and Apple Music on that, and the film has been a hit, and we continue to, obviously it's coming to Apple TV on December 12th. And that led us actually to do for Apple TV to do the F1 broadcast deal as well. It's yeah, it's really fun, and it'll be great. From March on, we'll have F1 exclusively on Apple TV. And if you're an F1 fan, you'll love it. Obviously, this is in the US. You've seen that, and if you're an F1 fan in the US, you'll love it.
That's what's so amazing about it. Is like I think there's an accessibility that comes with so many of, like, even with everything that Apple's done, like on the sports side with, with MLB, with the MLS, and now with F1, being able to have it in an easy to access form from our phones, from our Apple TV box. This is like, that's, I think, what's been lacking with so many people as people cut the cords for cable. It's like now I have a hub for all the things that I care about or discovering something new, which is amazing.
That's that's totally right. And we have, I think if you, at the time when the movie was out, there was so many wonderful things we did around the company. I mentioned the Apple Music integration, Apple Retail. We had Brad Pitt in the store. I'm sure you've seen that. We've done a lot of fun things in Apple Retail. I don't know whether you saw the haptic trailer we did.
Oh, our favorite thing.
Anyway, lots of fun things.
No, you guys do such a great job with, combining all those things together. And one of the things that if we're going to take it back to Apple Music quickly is we love the introduction of auto mix. I think when you look at what we were using before with crossfade, it was such a cool, piece of technology of just, blending music together. But then auto mix just kind of feels like crossfade pro, and it just took it to a whole new level. And we're curious for yourself, like when did that, project kind of start? And do you have your favorite mixes that you kind of seen happen yourself?
Well, so first of all, it really started, I mentioned to you, is like we're very, very artist-centric. And so building a classical service for classical artists, focusing on some of the smaller genres, having the studios and providing sort of space for artists to come in. And from early on in our journey, we decided that we would pay DJs. And remember, DJs, when they mix music, they typically don't mix their own music, so they don't actually get paid for the mix. And what gets paid is whatever other people's music is in the mix. So we decided to pay the DJs when they deliver the music. And so we've been very early on, very active in that DJ community. One of the advantages we have is that we have, Shazam is part of Apple Music, it's part of my team. And for the longest time, people didn't know what's in a mix. And today, by the way, our competitors are struggling with that. We had the advantage that we could just run it through Shazam, and Shazam would tell you exactly what's in the mix, and then we can pay the right people, which is really cool and innovative. And so we've been in the DJ community for a long time, and we've had integrations with DJ technology like algorithms, like for example, and we have a DJ software called iDJ and others for the longest time. And then we launched Crossfade. And if you remember, we didn't actually make Crossfade a default. We had it as a setting because we were already working on AutoMix. We thought Crossfade was a great feature for people who like that, but it wasn't. It was really sort of fading things in a regular way, and we wanted to make that really perfect. And that's what led us to AutoMix, and it's been developed by a really great team, and they have even more fun ideas for the future. And we're super proud of it, and we were super thoughtful. We don't want to, for example, we decided that it's not going to work for when someone plays an album from beginning to end. It's not auto mixing, because that's sort of an artist's choice to listen to the music as a piece of art. But when you're on your playlist and you're in your autoplay or so, it does the magic, and it's been really great to see in social media how much people loved it. I'm a huge, just to answer your question, if you look at my replay, there's a lot of EDM and dance music like Fred again and Bunt and other artists, and so that genre is perfect for automix. It's kind of made for automix, to be honest. So I love it.
That's amazing. When you're looking at the line of Apple TV shows that we've had come out throughout the years, do you have a show for yourself that's a personal favorite, or is there one coming out that you're really excited for everybody to see?
That's a trick question. First of all, I'm incredibly proud to have a team of people that make the content that I'm sure you've seen and heard. They do an incredible job, and I love partnering with them and being one of their peers and colleagues. I watch everything we do, and I think if you look at the reviews, we're leading in quality, and that makes me incredibly proud. I wouldn't want to. Obviously, people love the studio. People love Severance. You've seen we've won the most Emmys for a new show for the studio and so on. So I'm super proud. But if you ask me what my favorite artist is right now, I actually would give you an answer because it kind of changes, and it kind of means that maybe others aren't my favorite. I have so many I couldn't really tell you, and I think I would say the same about sort of my favorite TV show. But certainly working on the F1 movie has been a ton of fun.
Oliver, we're so grateful for your time, and I feel like we could talk for hours because we have so many questions that we could go into, but we're so grateful for your time and really hope we get to talk to you in the future.
No, anytime. Thank you very much.